Wow, took a long time. Hello, YouTubers. It's Wednesday evening, and I hope I don't get interrupted. My son is out, but I don't know when he's coming back. But he will be back to eat dinner whenever. It was good. Anyway, I was wondering if any of you, and some of you may not ever have experienced this, but some of you may have. Have you ever had a time in your life when there was an event that was so bad that there was nobody you could talk to about it, and as a result of that, you accidentally or inadvertently alienated your friends, so you had to go through it alone unless you could get the right kind of mental health, which I found very difficult to get because I needed to get it for both me and my son. Yeah, I've been there, and my coping mechanism was to write how angry I felt and how lonely I was and how I wanted things back the way they were, how I couldn't function the way I had to. But it was imperative for me to be there for my son, who was going through something much worse than I was going through. And he was very ill, and I had never been through a situation like this, so I didn't know exactly what to do, but it turns out I did just about everything right. Thank God. But, so I didn't write in a notebook. I just wrote on paper, lined notebook paper that you use in school and turn in your homework on. And I would just scribble away what was eating me up that day. But I did not want my son to find these papers, and I didn't want anybody to find them because they were my own personal feelings. So I wrote them and scribbled them and wrote real hard on them and scribbled really hard on them. And then I would take them over to the shredder and shred them up. And it wasn't much of a release. Not much at all. But I did that at least every night. And sometimes during the day when he was at school. But I was working during that whole time. And I was also having seizures every day, but I didn't know. I didn't recognize them as seizures because all I knew was grand mal. That's what I thought I was having, grand mal seizures. But what I wasn't having those every day. I would have something way more mild with no convulsing. And I can tell you the names of them, but it's really boring. But anyway, another way it manifested itself was I would fall for no reason. And I thought I was falling because all of a sudden I couldn't feel my feet. Just for a second, a split second. And I got all sorts of medical help from, oh, the soles of your shoes are too thick. And other kind of ridiculous things that I don't remember at all. But my neurologist kept asking me, do you think you're blanking out just for a second? And I kept saying, no, this just doesn't seem like a seizure at all. And so one time, so I quit my job after a year of this was going on, and my son was very sick, and I had no one to talk to. And so I quit my job because I thought it was too dangerous for me and for my coworkers and for the patrons. And my work agreed with me, and so I quit my job and got on disability because I was hoping that things would straighten out, you know, with the help of my neurologist. But they didn't. And so one night I was making fudge, which I like to do, and I make really good fudge. But anyway, it was time for me to get up and put the fudge in an ice bath. And on my way to the kitchen, I had to do a U-turn to get there. And fudge is time sensitive. So I was on my way in there, and I slipped for no reason. And what happened then was my really thick bone in the short part of my leg separated from the top of my ankle, and it kind of cracked a little. And so I needed to have surgery for that. So when the first surgery was done, the social worker came and said, we can get you some in-home support services. So I said, oh, that sounds good. And so I got one. She's still with me, but at that time I needed help with my personal care and my housework and my cooking, and but nothing to do with helping out with Alex, which I really felt was my responsibility, and I wanted to take care of him, and I did take care of him as much as he was responsible for. He kept doing that, but I didn't do what I couldn't do. He understood. And he was there for me emotionally. He started getting better little by little, but it was so slow you couldn't notice. But my leg was improving, and I had enough physical therapy that when I got my cast off, I could walk again without a limp. So I got stronger, and I didn't go back to work. I'm going to have to make this into 2 videos. So I was better able to take care of myself and take care of Alex. But I still needed my worker, in-home support services worker. And I'm going to tell you this now before I have to cut this off and make a continuation video. Back when I was writing all my anger and frustrations out, I learned how to draw labyrinths. So it was very healing for me to draw a labyrinth and then heal and then do the labyrinth with a colored pencil. I got really good at that. I'm at 9 minutes now. I got really good at that. I can still do it today, but to this day I have never walked a labyrinth. So anyway, that's the story of what was going on about 8 years ago. It's part of who I am today, but not all. And I'm going to stop and make a continuation video. Okay, just wait a minute. Goodbye, YouTube.